Quiet Wing, a psychological thriller, Part 1, The Silence Pattern. Briarwood Youth Center was the kind of place that pretended to be cheerful. The walls were painted in colors with names like Sunburst Yellow and Skyday Blue, but the air always smelled faintly of disinfectant and old carpet. The murals, smiling animals, cartoon clouds, felt like apologies written by adults who didn't know how to say sorry to children. Mara Ellison took the night shift because the silence made more sense to her. At night, buildings told the truth. On her third shift, she noticed the boys from the East Corridor didn't roughhouse like the others. They sat with their shoulders tucked in, voices low, eyes darting to the corners of rooms. When another counselor raised her voice at a different table, the boys flinched in perfect, synchronized motion. Mara had grown up reading fear the way other people read weather. Something was wrong in the quiet wing. She mentioned it casually to Jonah, another night counselor. "Those kids are model behavior," he said. "Ms. Hale runs a tight ship. If anything, I wish she trained the rest of the staff." Ms. Hale, the name kept showing up in the praise reports. Calm. Disciplined. Miracle worker with difficult boys. Mara watched her across the cafeteria, her neat bun, her gentle hand on a boy's shoulder, her soft smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. Predators didn't always look like wolves, sometimes they looked like shepherds. Part 2, The Shape of Fear. Mara started staying late near the quiet wing. She noticed the patterns no one charted. The boys always left Ms. Hale's office quieter than they entered. She insisted on private behavior correction sessions. Her door was solid wood. No window. The boys were praised for secrecy. "Privacy is respect," she told them. One night, a boy named Lucas wet the bed. He was 10. When Mara tried to comfort him, he panicked, not at the accident, but at the idea that Ms. Hale might find out. "She'll say I'm bad again," he whispered. "What does bad mean?" Mara asked. Lucas stared at the floor. "It means I shouldn't talk." That was the moment Mara felt the click of something aligning in her mind. Not proof. A pattern. A shape of fear she recognized too well. Part 3, Gaslighting. The good Mara took her concerns to her supervisor, Karen. Karen sighed. "You're projecting. These kids come from trauma. You can't assume abuse every time someone's quiet." "Quiet isn't the issue," Mara said. "It's uniform. It's trained." Karen's voice softened into condescension. "Ms. Hale has the best behavior metrics in the building. Do you know how hard it is to get results like that?" Results. Mara went home that night and lay awake, listening to the hum of her refrigerator, wondering how many terrible things had been hidden behind the word results. The next week, one of the boys from the quiet wing tried to run. He made it as far as the chain-link fence before he froze. He didn't scream when staff caught him. He didn't fight. He just whispered, "I didn't tell. I didn't tell." No one wrote that down. Mara did. Part 4, The Almost Confession. Evan, the boy who'd first gone hollow in the hallway, finally spoke in fragments. "She says." He stopped. "She says it's my fault when I get confused." Mara let silence do the work. She says if I tell, I'll get sent somewhere worse. Mara didn't promise safety. Promises can feel like traps to kids who've been lied to. She promised effort. I will try to make sure you're not alone with her anymore. Evan's breath stuttered. Not relief. Fear. Hope is heavier than despair when you've been trained to expect disappointment. That night, Mara called an external child advocacy line and began documenting everything. Dates. Times. Language. Shifts. Behavioral changes. The architecture of secrecy. The investigator on the phone said, "You're doing the right thing. The hardest cases are the quiet ones." Part 5. The Watchers. The investigation unfolded like fog, slow, subtle, disorienting. 2 new staff members appeared, supposedly from training oversight. A maintenance worker lingered near the quiet wing more than necessary. A social worker scheduled surprise evaluations. Miss Hale noticed. Her smile sharpened. Her praise became louder, more public. She started hugging the boys in front of other staff, briefly, just enough to look maternal. Mara caught her staring once. Not angry. Assessing. Predators study threats. Part 6. The test. One evening, Miss Hale cornered Mara near the supply closet. "You're very involved with my boys," she said gently. "Sometimes too much involvement confuses them. They need consistency." Mara felt the room tilt. This was a test. An invitation to retreat. "I'm here for all the kids," Mara said. "That's the job." Miss Hale smiled. "Some people bring their own wounds into this work. It can make them see danger where there is none. Gaslighting, neat and surgical." That night, Mara found a note in her locker. Careful. Accusations ruin lives. No name. No threat. Just a reminder that monsters don't roar. They whisper. Part 7. The break in the pattern. The case cracked not with a confession, but with a contradiction. One boy mentioned a detail about Ms. Hale's office that didn't line up with the official layout. Another independently described the same detail weeks later. Neither had been in the office at the same time. The investigators had enough to push harder. Ms. Hale was removed from direct contact pending review. The quiet wing doors were opened. The boys were redistributed temporarily. The silence lifted, just a little. One kid laughed in the hallway. Then clamped a hand over his mouth like he'd done something wrong. Mara crouched beside him. Laughing isn't trouble. He tested the word on his tongue. Not trouble. Not trouble. Part 8. The unmasking. The arrest was quiet. No shouting. No crowd. Just paperwork, and Ms. Hale's face going slack as the controls slipped from her hands. Later, the center buzzed with rumor. Staff argued. Some refused to believe it. Others said they'd always had a bad feeling. Mara watched the boys. They didn't look relieved. They looked unmoored. When you've lived inside fear, safety feels like standing on a floor that might collapse. Part 9. the aftermath therapists arrived. Advocates. New policies. Windows were added to office doors. Private sessions required open-door rules and secondary staff nearby. None of it fixed the past. Healing didn't come in speeches. It came in routines. In choices. In being believed without being interrogated. One boy asked Mara, "Was it my fault?" "No," she said. Not because it was easy to say. Because it had to be said out loud. Part 10, the open hall. Months later, the quiet wing was renamed. Not officially. Just by the kids. The open hall. The doors stayed open. The lights stayed on. Staff learned to treat silence not as obedience, but as a question. Mara stayed on the night shift. Buildings still told the truth at night. But now, sometimes, they told better ones.